Hello and welcome to Cover 2 TV. I'm Chris Pajak, this is Tom Jennings and this is our discussion show. No Steve Hall this week, I'm sure he's enjoying his holiday in Cyprus, wherever abouts in Cyprus he is, because he doesn't have a flipping clue. It's the discussion show, Tom. We wanted to discuss something a little bit closer probably to our hearts, but yet actually for me at the same time it's quite far away because I've never had any experience with this. So we wanted to talk about how franchises move in the NFL and what that can do and give you an outside perspective or a British UK perspective on franchises moving. So we want to discuss like little things like would we support a London team if it was to eventually happen, you know, but let's start at the beginning really and let's talk about the teams that have moved over the last few years. We know in 2016 the St. Louis Rams moved to become the LA Rams. We know in 2017 the Chargers went to become the LA Chargers, and we know in either 2019 or 2020 the Oakland Raiders will be becoming the Las Vegas Raiders. First of all, how do you think that affects the fans when a team moves like that?
Well, see, this is the thing, it's completely alien to this idea of moving anywhere. So I always look at it like this, the way the fans is that's your core. That's your local. You look at who supports you in the NFL. You always say it's based on location. So when you're moving, you're absolutely uprooting the franchise. You're killing a fan base. So who are they then going to support, or do you just lose those fans full stop? Because without that locality. So we're also Liverpool fans, as most people know. We support Liverpool because that's our local team. So even though Liverpool's a global brand and everyone in the world, like there's people around the world support Liverpool, without the Scousers supporting Liverpool, no one else does. So if you're looking at the teams that have moved, so you're looking at these, especially the San Diego Chargers, because they were more of a local team compared to the other two. San Diego was where their fans were. So now where their fans going to be, because there's no guarantee that the LA is going to adopt them as their team.
Mm-hmm. But then equally, I suppose there's the idea of success, isn't there? I mean, there's two teams moved into that LA region recently, and you know, are they going to support the more successful one? Because, and I've only been to LA once, so I'm talking again from an outside perspective. But you know, there's a lot of rich and famous people there, and there's a lot of money in LA, and you know, are they really going to be following a franchise, the average Joe, as it were, following a franchise that's losing? So it's difficult because it always seems to be, it's never the best teams moving at the peak, is it? It always seems to be teams that aren't doing so well, like the St. Louis Rams. St. Louis Chargers were all right, but they've not really done anything, have they? So it's a strange one for me. Again, from a Liverpool perspective, from a football fan, just seeing a team move is bizarre. Like, I would hate it if Liverpool moved. It's that core audience that makes the club who it is. Yeah. Ultimately, for me, you know, it's the Liverpool fans that make Liverpool, the football club, what it is. You know, as you say, it is a global brand now and stuff, but it's completely alien to me. I'll tell you what, do you know anything about the San Francisco 49ers and their little move? Because, all right, they moved to Levi Stadium a couple of years ago now. They moved to San Jose. It's not in San Francisco anymore. Yeah. We should probably talk a little bit about that as well. They've moved an hour train journey away from San Francisco. They've moved to where right in the heart of Silicon Valley, San Jose. They've got a big stadium there, but all the local San Francisco fans ain't travelling an hour to be going to fill that stadium.
Well, they've encountered that problem. That's been a problem straight away with a lot of these franchises moving. They're not selling out. The Rams weren't selling out last season. I think the Raiders have a good chance of selling out because they are more of a brand anyway, because they've done a few moves. And then the Chargers have really slimmed down to the 30,000 seater because they know they won't sell out a big stadium right now until they establish themselves. So we can see these issues that are emerging, and it says, is the NFL becoming a TV product, or is it still going to be about the live game? And that's what I think that's the question the NFL's got to ask itself. Because we could see with the LA Chargers that small stadiums are the way to go because they can't fill big stadiums anymore because they're killing a local fan base.
I suppose that's interesting actually, because you think if we use Game Pass to watch the games and stuff now, the games aren't shown on Game Pass unless the stadiums are sold out. Yeah. So, I've heard that a lot of the time if games don't sell out, clubs will buy those tickets and just give them to local foundations or charities or schools or something because they know they need that TV money that comes off the back of it. So that's a really interesting point, not one I considered at all, but I would guess that that's got a big deal to do with it.
Yeah, well, it's also, the NFL, the atmosphere is a bit weird because It's hard to explain. There's not a lot of crazy noise coming from teams. There's like we all know about the Seahawks, but that's...
And the Falcons as well, of course.
Well, the Falcons pump in their noise. So you got the Chiefs and the Seahawks, and they're known for it, but they've got stadiums built to like have the noise stick in. So with a more intimidating atmosphere that you're going to get in the LA Galaxy Stadium, you'll get more of an intimidating atmosphere, and we could see how that plays for the LA Chargers, whether that now becomes a factor, or maybe a thing that other teams now have to look at.
Okay, well, what about from a team perspective? How do you think it affects these players and these coaches?
Well, this is from a team's perspective. You're uprooting your whole team and you're moving them in places that unfamiliar. Like you've moved from St. Louis to LA. Now, the one thing no one talks about, the expense that's going to come, because in St. Louis, on NFL money, you're minted. Your life is easy. There's nothing you can't afford. When you move to LA, suddenly there's a massive drain going on your money, because you're still going to want to live in the same quality of house, the same quality of lifestyle, but it costs a lot more, which I don't think franchises think about, because they're billionaire owners.
I don't know whether I think I'd disagree with you on that one. I think you're right. I think the prices would obviously go up and stuff, but a lot of these guys make a lot of money, and it's up to them to manage the money, just like it's up to me and you to manage our money. You know, if I'm on 15, 20 grand a year, I've got to manage my money. It's just the way that it is. And if I want a job in a different city and I go and take that, then I'm going to have to manage my money differently. I think, you know, they're grown-ups. They should be able to manage their bank account. They know where I might want to live in a bigger house, but I can't afford it.
Yeah.
What does the normal person do? He doesn't move into the bigger house. He gets a smaller house. You know, now there is obviously the idea that, well, the team are actually moving. But ultimately, if you want to continue to play for that team, you've got to manage your finances, surely.
Yeah, but I just mean it's the downgrade that you're going to have. They're going to know they're going to have a downgrade, but there's downgrade from when you've been cut and released and have to move to another team, than when your team just decides, now we're moving. So you look at what's happening with Philip Rivers. Right now, he's planning on travelling from San Diego to LA. And that's not going to work. I can't see how that works, because the way they're saying is he's going to do all his reading and playbook on the car ride there. Well, wait till there's no Wi-Fi. Wait till he's going to encounter those little annoying problems and LA traffic. That's not going to work, and that's how you create player unhappiness. And that's where I think the step is, because suddenly you've just went from living more of a casual lifestyle. And there's also stuff.
There's an easy way to stop that.
Yeah.
He moves to LA.
Yeah, there is. But players, the creatures of habit. They don't want to move to LA. He actually was talking about quitting the team if they moved to LA originally. Now, obviously, money talks, and I never really bought that. But you can see from a player's perspective, they're not happy about this move. I haven't heard one player say, I'm happy about moving to LA.
Yeah. Well, I think another thing that comes into it is the fact that the training facilities aren't built there yet. You know, massive training facilities going to be built in Inglewood, isn't it? You know, huge investment right now. They're still working out of I can't remember the name of the place, but you know, they're not in the top facilities that they want to be in. They're still travelling to those facilities. It's more of a game day. They go to the stadium at the moment. So there are obviously massive issues that these clubs have to sort out. Now, for me, the football club has to deal with that. It shouldn't be anybody else. You're moving, you sort your training facilities out. If you want to be successful in the NFL, you need to sort your training facilities out. It says to me, if these teams aren't doing it in time, they don't want to be as successful, or they're thinking too much about the future and not about the now. And that's a problem in the NFL, because you'll get left behind big time. Yeah,
well, it's also, I mean, we're talking about what we're talking about usually is little minor problems. But in the NFL, most teams, even bad teams, they don't lose by many points. They only lose by a touchdown or more, and there's a touchdown swing that can take you from being a 6-10 team to being a 10-6. So when you've got these little things going against you, that's how they build up, and that's how you become a losing franchise consistently. And that's what I think is going to happen. Well, I'm not going to say that's going to happen, but I think that's a problem that teams have got to overcome. You're trying to overcome more problems than what you had to before.
Yeah, and I think, you know, just to add on to that, I'm a massive cycling fan. I don't know if you're into it at all. Like, I love all the Grand Tour and all the cycling races and the one-day classics and everything. And, you know, obviously it's been in the news about Team Sky for a few years now. Dave Brailsford doing an amazing job there, whether you think they're on drugs or not. I'm going to leave that to one side. But he always talks about marginal gains in sport. You know, to the fact that when they're going to the Tour de France, and any Grand Tour, actually, they'll take their own mattresses, because they believe that a guy who is comfortable on a mattress and knows that mattress is going to get more sleep than a guy who's tossing and turning and just is uncomfortable. So like these are like tiny little marginal gains that you know, at the top end of sports you're always looking for. So I take your point from before, applying that marginal gain stuff to it. Rivers travelling miles and miles and having to do this stuff, it's not good for him. And when and as you say, when it's just a touchdown swing, things can start quickly going against you. Okay, so we've talked about it from the team's perspective. We talked about it a little bit from the fans' perspective. What I wanted to know from you then is why the NFL teams think they can move a franchise somewhere and gain a load of fans like instantly. What's that about?
I don't see, they seem to go by, well, where's the money and where's the market? Where's the market and where's the lot of people? But people support teams for a reason, and you don't really change your team just because the team moves there. It's a slow build. It's a slow build if your kids start like supporting their local team. But it's interesting when you look at the Oakland Raiders moving to Las Vegas, because outside of Las Vegas, Nevada is not a big market at all. It's just Vegas Strip. So I don't see how that's going to help them unless everyone from Oakland actually starts travelling to Vegas and people start making a weekend of it, which sounds like a terrible idea, but an amazing idea at the same time.
Yeah, I think if you were an Oakland fan, you'd want as many weekends in Las Vegas as you could afford, but you'd probably end up losing your house. From my perspective, I think, you know, one of the things that they'll be doing when they look to Las Vegas is look for those day trippers. Look for people who are just coming into Vegas every single game. They'll probably sell it on people who just want to take in a sports game. You know, I've been to America. I've not been to the NFL. I've not been to MLB. I've not seen any of the, you know, the MLS or anything like that. I would love to go and be a day tripper at one of these days. And there's so many people who go to Las Vegas for the weekends that you can imagine they'd sell out just on that alone.
Yeah, but that also just brings it back to like you're never going to have a home field advantage. And home field advantage is a big thing, and if you don't think it is, go and look at the Saints. It plays a big part, and Seattle's another one who usually tends to win at home. And if the Raiders have a bunch of day trippers, then they're never going to have any home field advantage. Every game's going to feel like an away game, and the atmosphere's going to be flat because it's going to be the same whether they win or lose. So where's that extra, like, when you're trying to make so much noise, Tom Brady can't hear himself think, which sometimes happens at like Denver, and you know we can't quite it. So then there's miscommunications. So you're losing that because you've got a bunch of day trippers sitting there just having a beer and just not really bothered about the result. Yeah,
I agree with that. I think, you know, it's spot on that, mate. I think, you know, you need to try and keep a home field advantage in any sport because it is those small little gains that make you a winning franchise in the NFL. It's the same in every stadium around the world and all sports things. I think, you know, you only have to look at West Ham in England in soccer this season or last season to see how difficult it is when you kind of lose that atmosphere. You know, they went from the bowling ground where everything was right on top of you. You can make an amazing atmosphere to sitting in a bowl that they're struggling to generate noise. You know, they've got more people in. Season ticket holders from the bowling ground aren't with each other. They're not singing with each other, not in the same section, sang next to the mate that they've sang next to for 20 years. And you've noticed that West Ham struggled now. You know, I think there's going to be major issues for some of these clubs moving over the next couple of years and stuff. But I'll tell you what, let's take the conversation forwards a little bit. There's been lots of talk about a franchise in the UK for the best part of 10 years since the NFL game kicked off with the Giants back in the day, that rain game. I can't remember who they were playing at the time. I do forget, like...
Was it the Saints? Or was that the Saints Chargers?
No, I don't think so. I can't remember.
Yeah,
apologies. Like, should have remembered if I was going to talk about it. But ultimately, people think there's going to be a UK franchise. Thinks it's going to be the first territory outside of America and Canada for any American sports team to have a base. You know, if they were to move to the UK, and we'll maybe talk about some of the possible franchises in a little bit, is that a team that you could get behind?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't care because we know where they're going to move to, and it's going to be London. Well, London's miles away from me. I'm not going to London every weekend. So I don't care. So I'd carry on supporting the Patriots like I've done since 2001. Well, 2002. One season. So I wouldn't support them and I wouldn't really be interested. I think they'll find that. I think when they eventually move, because they want to move, that's completely the plan. They're just trying to put more games in London now to work out the logistics of how to do a London franchise. But I personally wouldn't support them because I'm happy with my own team. But then I could see how... if I had kids, that they would end up supporting the London team because they would just look for the closest team to them.
Yeah.
How about you?
I would struggle not supporting the Vikings. I'm in probably a different scenario to you. I've got a few teams that I like in the NFL. I like the Pittsburgh Steelers. I like the Seattle Seahawks. I've followed the Vikings since 1999. But I can't imagine that I'd go and support a London team. I'd go to the games. I'd probably try and get to as many games as I could in a season. And maybe that love would build over time. Maybe that's what happens in the NFL with American franchises as it stands. But right now, from the outside looking in, I'd struggle because unless it was the Vikings, which it's not going to be, just new stadium and all that type of stuff. But I can't imagine there's a franchise there that I would want. If it was an expansion team, that might change things slightly in that, it's not... Because let's say, for example, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, I don't like them. Yeah. Whether they're in Jacksonville, whether they're in Atlanta, whether they're in London, or whether they're in Hong Kong, I don't like the Jaguars.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing for me. The crap.
Well, that's you now. Yeah, well, it is going to be the Jaguars. Let's be real. We all know it's going to be the Jaguars.
There's not many options. They're running out of options.
It's going to be them. But you said an expansion team. I think an expansion team would even be worse because expansion teams tend to struggle. No expansion teams comes in actually does well, except the Jaguars, ironically, who then just went crap afterwards. But they'd be worse. And we're going to support a team that routinely gets beat, routinely loses, and it's going 1-15 every year. I can't see how that will generate an English fan base. So I can't see how it would work.
We love the underdog though.
Yeah, you love the underdog who's like an 8-8 or maybe might go 9-7. No one's going to watch 1-15 who gets smacked every week.
I think you're right. I think it's a difficult one for me. Again, just to reiterate, if it was an expansion team, they'd have more chance of me supporting them than a team that already exists that's not the Minnesota Vikings. If the Steelers moved, I could probably get behind them. They'd be my second team still. I'm quite comfortable with that. But logistically, are they talking about? I mean, how logistically do you think the NFL can do this?
I think what the NFL's idea is, they're going to try and give you a week off after you go to London or a week off before you go to London. And I think they're going to try and make it a team's choice. I think everyone's trying in different ways and they all think the way matters, but I don't think it does. There tends to be the better team just wins. The team with the better record in that season tends to win. So I've been to the 2 Patriots games and we walked them both. And I think that's what tends to happen. I don't think it actually matters too much, but it's going to be like a team's choice of do they want to have the week off before or the week off after?
And I think there was lots of talk, wasn't there, about maybe playing, like say it's the Jaguars and they'd play 4 home games on the bounce so that the team can stay acclimatised to London and then they'd still have a training base over in America for their away games, then maybe play 4 away games. I think that seems like a pretty sensible decision on the top level. The idea of obviously having a week before or a week off afterwards is much publicised and talked about. From a, I don't know, it's a really bizarre one for me. I'd love to see them do it. I really would. Where do you think? What stadium do you think it would be in?
I think it's going to be Tottenham's.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be basically the Tottenham Hotspurs and whatever they decide to call them, which is what we'll move on to next. But that's where I think they're going to move, and that's where they have actually signed a deal with Tottenham. I'm pretty confident they've signed a deal. So that's another thing with the NFL looking at going, we want to be based in London. But what they've done then is they just alienated the rest of the fans in the UK because it's so expensive. So it's going to cost so much money if you want to go to that game that you're not going to create a real fan base unless they're actually in London. So your teams are going to be essentially be the London team, not the UK team.
I think that's right, and I think, taking it on even further, there is talk there could be multiple franchises in London in the same way that we've got it in Los Angeles now. But I think I heard that there'd be another, maybe a European one or something else first before they gave a second one to London down the line. What's your gut then? Your gut is that it's going to be the Jaguars and not an expansion team?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars have never... The market's there, but they've never embraced it. They care much more about either the Florida Gators or the Florida Seminoles. That's where the fan support. So it's never really taken off, and we keep hearing rumours. The Jaguars owners kind of hinting at it, and I just don't see what other teams in that dire straits that they need to move, uproot and move, or be willing to take the risk to move, because it's gonna be a massive risk, and it could kill your franchise if you're the one who moves.
Okay. Finally, before we go, then let's name the team.
Well, so I threw one out to you before. I was thinking they're going to call themselves something really cheesy and go London Queen's Guard.
Oh my word! I would hate it if they did something like that. But that's they don't know the market, because I can't imagine London teams going, London people getting behind something like that. Can you?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I always think about that. I think the NFL would also be naive in the fact they think that people from the UK actually like the monarchy and don't want rid of the monarchy, like a lot of people, especially up here. So I think they go with that.
Views, by the way.
I'm happy to get rid of the monarchy and put them on a spike. Yeah. Or just like give us back our lands and go away and live in one castle and we can have the rest. That'd also be fun.
Where to go from there? So what would that? I mean, look, I think I actually got used to the idea of a few years ago thinking about it as maybe potentially being the Raiders franchise, and I think the London Raiders does work. It's a name that suits. Yeah. Obviously, it's not going to happen now in any way, shape or form. Other than that, I've not given it any thought whatsoever. You mentioned that one before, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to beat that. I'm probably not going to think about that one. So we'll go with the London Queen's Guard, or it could be the King's Guard by the time it gets around. Yeah. And then does the franchise name change?
I was also thinking that, would they just keep changing it per King and Queen, or would they just keep it?
I think they'd have to keep it the same, wouldn't they? Okay, well, that's brilliant. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to give the video a like. Leave us comments, as I say, on all the things we've discussed. Has your franchise moved? How did you feel? Has a franchise moved to your city? What did you embrace it? How did you embrace it? How long did it take before you started to support them? All things like that. Comment section below. Like the video. Subscribe to Cover 2 TV, and we'll be back tomorrow with the daily news show. Thanks very much.